Okay, so I need to tell you about something that actually happened. Not a theory, not a rumor, a documented government program that ran for 40 years in the United States of America. And when you hear what they did, and who they did it to, and why they kept doing it for decades, it will change how you think about power, trust, and the value of a human life. This is the Tuskegee Syphilis Study, and it is one of the darkest chapters in American history. It started in 1932 in Macon County, Alabama. The United States Public Health Service launched what they called a study on untreated syphilis in the African American male. They recruited 399 black men from some of the poorest communities in Alabama. Men who were sharecroppers, farmers, people with almost no education and no access to health care. People who had been told their whole lives that doctors and hospitals were not for people like them. The researchers told these men they were being treated for bad blood. That was the term they used. Bad blood. A vague local expression that covered everything from anemia to fatigue to various illnesses. The men were given free medical exams, free meals on examination days, and free burial insurance. For men living in desperate poverty in the Jim Crow South, this felt like an extraordinary offer. What they were never told was the truth. They were not being treated. They were being observed. The entire point of the study was to watch what happened to the human body when syphilis was left completely untreated. No medication, no intervention, just observation. The researchers wanted to document every stage of the disease as it progressed through the body. And then something happened that should have ended the study immediately. In 1947, 15 years after the study began, penicillin was discovered and proven to be a highly effective cure for syphilis. It was cheap. It was widely available. It could have cured every single one of those 399 men almost overnight. The researchers chose not to tell them. They continued the study for another 25 years. They actively worked to prevent the men from receiving treatment. When some of the men were drafted for World War II and the military tried to treat their syphilis as part of standard health screenings, the researchers intervened and had them removed from treatment lists. When local doctors and health programs tried to offer the men penicillin, the researchers blocked it. They knew the cure existed. They chose to withhold it for 25 more years. By the time a whistleblower named Peter Buxton finally leaked the story to the press in 1972, 40 years after it began, 28 of the men had died directly from syphilis. 100 more had died from related complications. 40 of their wives had been infected, and 19 children had been born with congenital syphilis. Meaning they were born with the disease because their fathers were never treated. The story broke in July 1972. The public reaction was immediate and overwhelming. The study was shut down within days. Congressional hearings were held, and the fallout from Tuskegee changed American medicine forever. It led directly to the creation of the National Research Act of 1974, which established the first federal rules protecting human subjects in research. It created institutional review boards that must approve any research involving human beings. It fundamentally changed the ethical framework of medical research in America. But here is what I find the most disturbing about the whole story. The men who ran this study were not monsters in the way we usually imagine. They were educated professionals, government scientists, people who went home to their families at night and considered themselves good people doing important work. They convinced themselves that the scientific data they were collecting justified what they were doing, that the knowledge they would gain would help people in the future, even as they destroyed the people in front of them right now. And nobody stopped them for 40 years. In 1997, 25 years after the study was exposed, President Bill Clinton formally apologized to the 8 surviving participants and their families on behalf of the United States government. He said what the government did was deeply, profoundly, morally wrong. He acknowledged that the men had been betrayed, that their dignity had been violated, that their government had treated them as less than human. 8 men were still alive to hear that apology out of 399. There is a reason this story matters today, not just as history, but as a reminder of what happens when systems of power decide that some lives matter less than others. When the people making decisions are insulated from the consequences of those decisions. When science or progress or knowledge becomes an excuse to stop seeing the human beings in front of you. The men of Tuskegee trusted the government that was supposed to protect them, and that trust was used against them for 40 years. Their names deserve to be remembered, not as victims, but as men whose suffering exposed one of the most important lessons in American history, that no institution, no matter how powerful or prestigious, is automatically worthy of your trust, and that the most dangerous thing in the world is not an enemy who hates you. It is a system that simply does not see you. If this story stayed with you, subscribe right now, because this is what FactStruck does every single week. We find the stories that history tried to forget, and we tell you everything. No fluff, just the real stuff. See you in the next one.